Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I got my boy Al Johnson right here. Quick funny story about Al Johnson is when he first became an agent, because I was an agent before him, I reached out to him. I sent him a message, didn't I, Al? I said, hey, best of luck to you, something along the lines of that.
I still have the email.
You still got the email, man?
Still got it.
3-4 years later, man, I bumped into you. I said, I'm Chris. You said, I know who you are.
Yeah.
You sent me the email.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is a testimony right there. It's all right to be kind. It's cool to be genuine, but reach out and just, hey, wish someone some good luck.
Yeah.
And root for your fellow brethren, as one may say.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, I've got Al Johnson right here from Obscurity to Opportunity right here. And we are at, right now, one of the best events in State Farm history, the Chairman's Circle event, where they essentially bring in just elite agents, but more importantly, they're doing an elite job at helping their customers.
And bring in elite speakers.
And bringing elite speakers, too.
We got Kendra Scott.
Do we really have Kendra Scott?
Yeah, Kendra Scott.
Wow, didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Didn't even know that. Al, my friend, you have an incredible story, but more importantly, man, just an incredible heart, good friend of mine. You know, someone I can reach out to whenever I need a little bit of help. So glad you came on the show. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Okay.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the whole premise of this show is helping people come from obscurity into opportunity. When I first started my agency a couple of years in, someone bumped into me in the gym and asked me what I did for a living. And at that time, I thought I was the best State Farm agent in the world. I hadn't met you yet, by the way. Okay. And I thought to myself, how does this person not know what I do? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. If people don't know what you do, what you offer, then how are they going to pick up the phone and give you a call to make your buying decision? And that's when the light bulb switched for me, is overcoming the security in the marketplace. And it is my one and only dream to help as many small business owners and leaders as I can to overcome security. So let's get straight into this. Al, tell us a little bit about who is the Al Johnson?
Well, I come from very, very humble beginnings. I have identical twin brother. We both grew up in a single parent household, drug infested community, a lot of gang activity, a lot of opportunities to make bad decisions. We had a praying mother. She kept us active, kept us busy, kept us challenged. My AAU coach, basketball, I know we both have a basketball background.
Yeah.
Played a huge vital role into helping keeping us out of trouble. We would travel all the time for AAU. We didn't have money to actually go on the trips, but he would subsidize it. And we were really appreciative of that. And that competitive drive, that competitive spirit, and knowing that if I didn't perform in the classroom, and if I didn't make good decisions, that would be taken away from me, really helped my brother and I really make good decisions, stay out of trouble.
Yeah. So it was your mom, you, and your brother, correct?
That's it.
So how did having a fellow brethren, a fellow brother, how did that keep you going through the storm?
Being an identical twin, it's really hard to explain the level of competitiveness and the level of pettiness.
Yeah. I love it. Love it.
We are competing that who can eat the most cereal, eat it the fastest, eat the most bread, make the most shots, work at the best grades. We're competing in everything, right? But I think it was a healthy, unhealthy competition, meaning it's my brother, it's my best friend.
Yeah.
However, it competing against him and him competing against myself, it just, I don't know, it's like you just kind of black out. Everything else in the room, you're just focusing on beating your brother, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like having a little brother, right?
Yeah.
And you just want to beat him so bad and vice versa, but help him in the same sense. And that level of competitiveness just kind of spilled over into a lot of different things, academia, sports, business.
Yeah.
And we chat every day.
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that. I got two brothers. I check in with them. I try my very best every single day.
Yeah.
You know, and just chatting with them fills my cup. You know, so that's why I was kind of intrigued on that. You know, so we'll get in a little bit about what you're doing now and all the success you've had. However, have you always been a business owner? I mean, tell us just a little bit about your career before jumping into business ownership. What did that look like?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what. Graduated college in 2004, dual degree management and marketing, and initially took a job at Wells Fargo Financial.
Okay.
Well, that was kind of a bait and switch. Signed on for an opportunity, and they immediately lowered my salary 3-4 months into the job, right?
Oh, wow.
However, a mentor of mine that I never met, I met him through a book, Robert Kiyosaki, always said, work to learn, not earn. And I took that to heart. And they were at that particular moment learning about credit, learning about finances, and the importance of that really, I believe, helped prepare me to where I'm at today, just making sound financial decisions. So I did that, parlayed that into being a district sales leader at PepsiCo, Frito Lay specifically. And I was one of the youngest district sales leaders in the state.
Wow.
And I was leading um, um, my team was, let me see, I was in my early 20s. My average age of the employees that I was providing leadership to was late 40s. So they're
Wow.
double the age of they have kids my age,
Yeah.
right? And so having to work shoulder to shoulder and provide leadership to someone that's been doing something a lot longer than you and they have more perspective, more work experience, that can be challenging if you
Yeah.
don't earn their respect, right? But I was able to do that. Just my beginnings, the way I was the way that I was raised. I'm this humble and work hard, and
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about helping others, and I'm very passionate about getting the job done.
Yeah.
And I think that team at that moment realized that, like, no, man, this guy's here to help us. He's here to help us make more money. He's willing to get up at 3, 4 in the morning, run this route with me. All of these things. And then that kind of transitioned into my next opportunity where I went to pharmaceutical sales. And to make a long story short, one of my colleagues and coworkers was resigning to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was really having trouble understanding why. It was a six-figure job opportunity, looking at the amount of time that she worked and that I worked in that particular role, there was a lot of flexibility and a
Yeah.
really good earning opportunity, and bottom line, she was like, "Well, I don't really need the money. My husband does very well," and that's how I was kinda introduced to the State Farm opportunity,
Wow. Okay.
right? Now, when we talk about but State Farm wasn't my first entrepreneurship opportunity. It was actually income tax preparation.
Mm.
I did that in unison to being in the pharmaceutical industry. So I would just work really hard Monday through Thursday, work or maybe 3, 4 hour day on Friday. And then I would drive to Corpus Christi and I would go run my income tax business. And I had a good team that would, do what they needed to do Monday through Thursday. And then I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then drive back up to Houston to work my pharmaceutical farm territory Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
And man, I did that for 4 years. And initially my income tax business took off and then it started going down.
Mm.
I had turnover issues. What worked one year on marketing didn't work the next year. And it was, man, it was a struggle
Yeah.
trying to really find out how is it that I was successful the first year to 2 years, and then the next year my income's down or revenue's down 35%. And so doing that, and you just kind of learn that business is cycles. You have to be a student of the business, and sometimes business is going to be up, sometimes business is going to be down, but
Yeah.
you have to have the grit to see it through.
Yeah. You brought up a good point right there at the end. You're saying student of the business. Walk us through the difference of working in your business than working on your business
Well,
for you.
yeah, no, that's a phenomenal question. I think when anyone starts a business, you're going to work in the business, meaning you're doing everything.
Yeah.
And then you start learning what you can outsource on things that maybe you're not good at or you just frankly don't want to do. And you focus on the things that generate the highest return or the most revenue. But working on your business, you have to earn the right to work on your business. If you haven't experienced the growth or you frankly haven't been successful working in your business, it makes it tougher to work on your business.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
type of freedom, in my opinion, is earned. You got to earn the
Yeah.
right to work on
Yeah.
your business and not in it.
I think you painted a really good picture there. I know early on in my career when I was recruiting young people to come work for me, they said, "Hey, I want to be an entrepreneur."
Yeah,
And I said, "Well, what does that look like?" Well, it's running as many businesses as I can and not having any employees. Fast forward 5 years later, they want to come work for me. I said,
yeah.
"What changed?" haven't got any consistency on there, haven't got any success. I want something more consistent. And I think it goes back to what you said. You gotta earn it and know that it can work before you can start separating yourself and start expanding it. You know what I
Correct.
mean? And
Correct.
that's a big challenge for people out there. You need to identify where you're at in your career, what are you doing, and then what actions you're going to take so you don't waste 5 years. Because time is money at the end of the day. You know?
But absolutely, and if you don't have the system, processes, or team, it's really hard to work on a business because
Yeah.
you're working in it because you don't have those things.
Yeah.
Right. And so while you're working in it, you have to be building out your systems and processes that they can do some of the work for you
Yeah.
so that you've earned the right to get some of that time back to work on the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And that's a great point too. And I think that's where you can be tremendous value. I know when I first started, I always tell people I was a glorified team member
Yeah.
on 10X, as
Yeah.
some may
We all
say,
were.
you
We
know,
all were.
in there doing it. But at some point, you got to flip that script, right? And I'm
Correct.
sure that's someone like you. I mean, to run, let's just put it out there. You run 3 agencies.
Correct.
3 agencies.
Yep.
And it seemed like you went from 1 to 3. I don't remember you
It
getting
was
the
pretty
second one.
fast. It was
It's
pretty
pretty fast
fast.
right there. Do you give credit to what you just mentioned, your processes and your systems on that? Tell us about that. What's
Well,
different?
yeah. Well, I'll say this because people see the 3 agencies. They're like, oh, yeah, you got your MOA and oh, you got your third office. But they don't know how many times I had to interview to get these opportunities.
But what did that
Uh,
look like? I got to ask. People are thinking out there. What? I mean, how many times did you have to interview to get that?
well, to get my second location, I interviewed 3 times. The first time I interviewed, I wasn't particularly interested in the opportunity. It was more so the process of going to compete for an opportunity. So I learned a lot in that process from market research, writing a business plan, because it's different when you have one agency. When you have two, you really have to think through your office structure. Your marketing is going to vary from office to office, depending on the demographic. What works in one location may not work in the other. You think about the talent of your team and their skill sets. How far is the location from your current office? These are things that really you want to kind of think through, right?
Yeah.
So going through that first interview process, it really kind of make had me really think through that, right? The second time I interviewed, you know, I put my heart and soul into it. The business plan, I use a lot of the things that I learned um, from the first interview and put it in the second interview. My business plan was on point. The marketing strategy I thought was top notch, but I didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was extremely credentialed. I felt I was overqualified for that opportunity, but the person that made that decision went in a different direction. And so at that point in time, you kind of at a crossroads. There's something that you feel with everything in you, it should have been your opportunity,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
didn't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, do you cry and complain about it? Do you evaluate why you didn't get the opportunity? Uh, do you have a chip on your shoulder? I had several chips on my shoulder.
Several. Okay. I got you.
Right?
I got you.
And so if you have chips on your shoulders, the way that you prove people wrong is by proving yourself right and betting on yourself.
Love that.
And
Love that.
so the third interview came. Frankly, it was an opportunity that no one really wanted. Um, um, the agent that had the prior opportunity, the contract was terminated for whatever reason, don't know. Phone number for that particular location, didn't have that, and there was no existing staff. There wasn't a long line for people that wanted that opportunity, but it was a opportunity. So I interviewed. I don't even know how many people I competed with, but was given an opportunity by a guy I really, really respect. Gave me an opportunity, and I said I need to prove his decision right, right. And we went out and killed it so much to where in 18 months we got a third location,
Wow.
and then we killed that. And
Love
so we've
that.
been very, very successful. I credit it out towards my team.
Yeah.
They helped keep me focused when we didn't get the opportunities that we wanted.
Yeah.
But when we did, we make the most of it, and we proved ourselves right. And the people that said no, we proved them wrong.
Yeah. I love that, man. Appreciate you sharing, man. I appreciate your transparency too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's back up just a little bit.
sure,
Okay. And this is specifically pertaining to agency. Okay.
yeah,
There are many roadblocks in agency of late, rate increases, claims, unprecedented growth that maybe we are having trouble keeping up with technology. I mean, we're getting there, but it's taking a while. That yields frustrations.
it does.
However, However, you bring up a great point. We could be better or we could be bitter. So, what do you tell yourself? Someone that owns three successful agencies at a high level, what do you tell yourself when you hit that roadblock to help you push through?
Well, there's going to always be challenges. That's the, it's an oxymoron. That's the beautiful struggle of business. Whether it's regulatory challenges, technological challenges, staffing challenges, economy challenges, you're going to always have to be able to adapt and critically think what is the most efficient decision that I can make to get me from A to B, right? And
Yeah,
from C to D, and then so on and so on and so on. Um, and sometimes having to reevaluate and adjust on a strategy that you thought would work that didn't, that's okay. Because sometimes, well, I won't even say sometimes, a lot of the times, failure is our greatest teacher. The reason why is because when people are successful, you don't look into all the particulars. You don't look into all the details. You're not in the weeds, right? Because it's coming easy. But when things are tough, things are challenging, maybe your profitability is being greatly impacted or your top line revenue, or there's just some significant issues that are impacting your bottom line, that is when we find our best selves.
love that.
And that is when we have to be welcoming to that challenge because that's going to make us a better business owner, a better leader, and you end up being better for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to pause right there. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to talk to Al about what do some of those struggles and challenges really look like for him and how did he overcome. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back and I'm with my man, the man, myth, and legend. I love to say that Al Johnson here. Al Johnson's a good friend of mine, but more importantly, a very, very good man with a great heart and a very successful business owner. More importantly, family man and God-fearing American, as one may say.
Yes,
But Al,
sir.
let's jump straight back into it. Before we left for the break,
Hmm.
Al, I just want to get real with you real quick.
Yeah.
Like, man, tell me some major roadblocks you hit, man, and how did you work through those roadblocks? Give me that first one that hits the soul. You already know what it is, but you're just trying to think about how to articulate. I want to hear that one.
Well, I'm gonna ask you to be more specific when we say roadblocks. Are we talking
I
about
say roadblocks.
growing up? We're
Mm,
talking about in business.
I'm saying in business. I'm saying in business. I'm saying business.
Well, the first roadblock, I would say the first major roadblock that I hit was understanding that there's seasonality in business. And what I mean by that, you would think, oh, everyone's taking an economics class if you have a degree in business. But it's one thing to read it in a textbook, and it's another thing to experience it. And then it's another thing to really understand why you're going through that seasonality. And so my first roadblock is 2017, 2018. We had a phenomenal 15, a even better 16, to where Wilma's got line leader in reference to auto production. We rode almost 3,300 cars, had a great year. And then all of a sudden, the county mutual business was taken from under us. The insurance company was having profitability issues, which impacted our ability to write business. And that was my third year in the business, right? Let me see, fourth year in the business. And so when you're just used to just writing business, no issues, and now the customer that you would be able to give a policy to, maybe it's a little bit more challenging,
Yeah.
or you can't even give them a price, right?
Yeah.
That's a big adjustment. And that was the first roadblock that I hit, was that I had to reevaluate how I acquired new business. And the marketing sources that didn't work anymore because of the clientele that they were referring. And so learning how to adjust, because I got punched in the face,
Yeah.
not once, maybe 4 or 5 times.
Wow, that's a
And
KFC combo, man. That's a four-piece
man,
combo
it
there.
was a 4 piece. Like, I was almost down for the count, right? And so you get up, you figure out, well, damn, I've been doing this marketing strategy with these center of influences for years. Now I don't have a competitive price for the business that they send. Am I gonna continue to complain about it and hope that it changes? Or am I gonna change and find another way to win?
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Mm.
And I had to changed the majority of my team because they got so used to just waiting for the phone to ring because we did a great job of building those relationships. And I'll say this to anybody in the insurance business: just because something works today doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow.
Mm.
And and if it doesn't work tomorrow, that doesn't mean it won't work ever again. It's all cycles based on what the insurance company is going through and what type of business that analytically makes sense, that shows that that customer is going to be profitable.
So for that same person listening, when do you know when to adjust? How do you know? Because sometimes it gets too late for people.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
dug themselves into a hole financially, or they can't make up for being behind the eight ball, can't close out their year. So how do you identify when that time comes to pivot and change and go in a different direction?
Well, one is look at the company's objective. If you're growing in a particular market, if the company's growing in a market or they're growing in a particular state, and they're giving a lot of subsidies towards, let's say internet lead providers or events that you can run in the community. Um,
Agent
if,
tag media.
yeah, all that agent
Yeah.
tag
Yeah.
media. If they're doing all of these things and it's aggressive, that's showing you the company aggressively wants to grow, right? Now, when marketing subsidies are greatly decreased, is it because of profitability issues, or are they trying to slow growth? Maybe it's a combination of both. And then reach out to people in leadership. What states are we growing in? And play in those states. Because the company's going to do what's best for the company, and they should, because this is what's best for the customer. Why will we continue to give policies to a particular customer demographic, or why will we continue to write business that's not profitable? Let me just say that. Not
Sure.
demographics, but
Sure.
it doesn't make sense. So you have to be able to look at where's the growth, where are we growing profitably, and am I playing in that market?
Yeah.
And then as an agent, our job is to give our team as many opportunities as possible for the lowest cost as possible, right? Because it's a numbers game. That's all it is. So you have to find innovative ways to create opportunities for your team to help more people in more ways. And sometimes they have to talk to 15 just to help two. Sometimes they got to talk to 20 just to help one. It just depends on the market.
Yeah.
Our job is to figure out how to get them those opportunities and do it from in a more cost effective approach.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. Man, that's true say, man. That's
Yeah,
true say.
yeah.
That's true say. So let me ask you this, man. All of your background and where you came from, where do you feel like you flipped the switch? And I'll tell you this, man. Like I seen that email in the beginning. I didn't know you very well. You know, I think you started in 14 or 13.
13,
13. So
13.
I started January 13. You started a couple of months after me, right?
Yep, December 18th.
And then you got a relationship with Anthony
Yep.
or whatnot. So I got to know you a little bit through Anthony, but it just seemed like just all of a sudden, boom, man, you just took off, man. You just took off. So when did that switch flip? Because there's so many people that are listening in right now, and they're listening very intensively right now of what they need to do to get to that next level. So what did that next level look like for you when you hit that switch? And then what did you do to hit that switch?
Well, a couple things. I think a lot of agents can hit the switch. It's just, are you properly positioned to hit the switch? Let me dig a little deeper. Most agents that I knew, um, they had their Tika Turbo packet, this State Farm Bank, and whatever else they were doing to help you have capital to operate a business. Me, on the other hand, I had access to lines of credit with different banks. I had business credit cards. I was positioned to take advantage when the company was ready to grow. What does that look like? Well, if I have a line of credit and I can pay my staff right off that line of credit, that allows me to hire more people so that I can just hit that switch. But I also understand the contract and understanding what financial metrics that I needed to hit to maximize the scorecard bonus.
Yeah.
And I was very comfortable running a 80, 90, six-figure deficit because I knew I would be able to pay it off come March 15th. Because
Well, early on in your career,
yeah, I was getting
like
six
first
figures.
year.
So from August to December of 2013, that's 5 months. Uh, and at this time, I wasn't aware. I could have got Legion of Honor my first 5 months in the business. I actually got a scorecard. My first scorecard, the first 5 months of the business was like 31 grand. We maxed out health in 5 months, right off the bank product, right? The ICDI back in the
You
day.
probably did Blue Cross Blue Shield too back in the day
But
too.
that was a little after, but in
Oh, okay,
13,
okay,
13 was all ICDI
yeah, I
off
see
the
the
vehicle
yeah,
loan.
okay, I got you. Yeah,
And
yeah,
we did that very, very well. And
yeah,
then we did well at bank.
yeah.
And we were, we were writing 100 plus apps my first month in the business,
Wow.
right? It was because we were able to start with multiple producers and we got better and better. So then, fast forward to 2014, from January 2014 to December 2014, come March 15th of 2015, my first scorecard for a whole year was 148,000,
Wow.
right?
That took me like 6 years to get to that.
Yeah, that was my first. Well, you asked how
No,
that
that's
hit
great.
the
Yeah,
switch.
and I'm being selfish now because I'm thinking I'm comparing it to me. But yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, it's
But from a perspective standpoint, that is impressive.
yeah, yeah. And here's the deal: it's when you got to understand how to maximize your compensation plan
Yeah.
until you have to have the capital to do it. And so I started with having lines of credit, and I started with having business credit
Okay.
cards, and that was really important because I could max them out without impacting my credit.
Yeah.
Right. And so I understood that going in, and I was able to leverage that. Once I felt comfortable, my team had the skill set to make sure I had the money to pay it back March 15th.
Yeah.
So that 148, probably about 120,000 of them went to pay off debt.
Sure. Sure.
So I had my what,
But you had momentum though for the next
correct.
year.
Yeah, because you got those
And you've
residuals.
got systems and processes to get to 140 in the first place, which I didn't have. And I'm going to share a very transparent story with you that I've never shared recorded, but I'm going to share it with you, right? So when you interview for the opportunity, at some point there's some due diligence done by the company to see where you're at financially.
Correct.
I made crazy money in the car business. Now, did I save or keep any of it? It's a whole nother story, right? So I knew how to make money. Okay. So they weren't as strict back then, but they want to know, did you have financial backing? My wife worked at a bank. So I got a letter from her saying I was pre-approved for $20,000. Not a big deal. They really wanted close to 100,000. So I had to sell myself. And what I did was I had to think outside the box. So I got a letter from my very fluent parents from the foothills of England in the mountains. I'm not from the mountains. I'm from a very average suburb town in England, Essex, England. But the letter worked. So, cut a long story short, my parents were willing to back me financially, but I knew deep down I would never ask my parents for help.
Yep.
So I had 20,000 going into this. Went to internship class in Colombia. Got about 3 weeks from graduation. I only had 20,000. I knew, I was like, man, I need to get some money. Well, in the internship class was a credit union. So I walked into the credit union. They said, well, how much do you want? I showed them how much money I made. I said, how much do you think I want? I want the max. And they said, well, the max is 50,000. I said, okay.
Sign me
I
up,
I
baby.
applied for 50,000. Said, let us do the credit check. They said, Mr. Mathurin, unfortunately, we can only counter offer you. I said, how much? I said, we'll give you 49,500.
I'll take it.
I was like, cha ching, what about a bing bing? I was like, hold on, we're in a row here. We're in a row here. So then I was like, okay, well, if the credit union gave it to me, maybe I need to call the bank. Then I got on the phone and I called the bank. Same thing. So I had 120 G's to fund my opportunities. And I always say the company I went to work for funded my opportunity because I started scratch
Yeah.
with no book of business,
Yeah.
right? So the whole takeaway, there's two takeaways from this. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to invest? More importantly, what are you willing to bet on yourself to
Correct.
overcome security and make something for your family, your legacy, take you out from the position you are to where you want to go? Are you willing to bet on yourself? I was,
Yeah.
and that's what I did.
Now,
However,
one thing I'll say, Chris, I think is pretty I was very intentional about my transition to State Farm.
yeah,
Um, my wife and I had just bought a house, um, and I had all of our savings. And I said, "Hey, babe, just trust me on this."
yeah,
I didn't pay myself, and I think this is important for the audience to know. I didn't pay myself probably for about 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that I earned, I put back in the business.
Yeah.
Right. I paid my debt off and I would live off my savings
Yeah.
and I would just all the revenue, I would put it back in the business, back
Yeah.
into marketing, back into
Yeah.
people over and over again. And then to when I got to year 4 is when life just drastically changed for me.
Took off, right?
Yeah.
Took off.
Yeah.
And that's good to know because that correlates with what I was sharing with you. But there is a huge fundamental difference, and I'm gonna be completely 100 with you right now. I took out that debt and I turn and burn, but I didn't have the systems and the processes until maybe year 7, year 8. It took me a long time. I had to fail, 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 fail. And the problem with that is you write all this business, but it goes out the back door.
Correct.
The problem that is, yeah, you're growing, but you're leaving opportunity on the table with it. The problem that is you're growing, but you're leaving capacity on the table. You're losing good people. And the reality is if you don't have good systems and processes, are you really giving the best experience to your customer? And from everything you shared, I can compare us right now. They say, don't compare. No, I'm going to compare us right now. You are able to identify better systems and processes and build on that earlier on than what I was. So my next question for you is this, is how can it benefit the small business owner
Yeah.
or the agent? And I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you by bringing someone like you on board to help them. And I'm going to start right there. Save $250,000 because that's what's on the line.
Yeah.
Is $250,000 going out the board. So what can someone like you do for someone like them to take time out of the equation and boost their business to the next level significantly?
Well, that is a loaded question that I'm glad that you asked because it's going to depend on the individual, and I think it needs to be that way because someone that has a staff of 2 people, they can't run at the level of someone with 6. And so that's the first thing. And I always say start with team. What is your recruiting process? Because we got to look at that. Like, where are you getting your talent from? How are you screening your talent? Once you get them in the door, what does your onboarding process look like for your employees? Right. And before they even get in the door, are you able to sell what your agency or business vision is and where they fit in it? Because a great mentor of mine always said, Al, is if your vision is not big enough for your team to fit in, they're going to fit in somebody else's.
Mm,
So you always start with team, and then based off their skill set and based on the company objectives, then you adjust accordingly. So the first thing I would tell anyone, do you have the right people in the right seat? What's your recruiting process to get the right people in the right seat? Once they are in your office, what is your development or onboarding looks like to make sure they're running at maximum capacity, right? Because we can talk about everything else, but it all goes with team because everyone that's getting in the business, you should get into it to be a business owner and not be self-employed.
yeah.
If you want to be an individual producer, then go do that, but you're going to limit your ability to earn income, right? Because it's only so much time in a day,
Yeah.
right? So for people that say, "Hey Al, how can you help me?" Well, it starts by me helping you help yourself and seeing what does your process look like. And let me give you more examples. If you are outsourcing your recruitment, that's great. That should be part of your recruiting process, but it shouldn't be your only
Yeah.
recruiting process. Prime example, part of my screening process, which is part of my recruitment process, I don't believe that there's just one assessment. If they fail it, then they're not a good fit. I don't believe in that. I've seen too many people not do well on a particular assessment and do something else and kill it. And it's still sales focused, right? So for me, I have 5 points of data that I look at. When one is transferable skill sets. What have you done previously that can translate to the role I'm hiring you for? Right. And the resume will tell me that. And there are certain questions I'm going to ask to make sure it's not fluff that you actually did those things. So that's data point one, transferable skills off the resume. We're going to ask star formatted situation, task, action, result questions to make sure that's on their resume they actually did those things. Secondly, after we do that, we're going to send them a Wonderlic assessment, and we're going to send them a disc profile. Those tell me different things. Their learning agility, if we're looking at Wonderlic, this profile lets me know who they are when they get stressed and who they are naturally. So those are another two pieces of data. So we're at three transferable skill sets, two assessments, Wonderlic, this profile. Point four, it's a phone interview. Can you communicate professionally over the phone? Can I understand what you're saying? How well do you articulate yourself when I ask tough questions? How do you act when you get flustered? And then data point five, you come into the office, you're going to spend time with the team, spend time with me. We're going to show you what we're about, make sure you really understand our culture and our agency, right? And to show you what you will be expected to do day in and day out. That's five pieces of data. If they do well out of three, proceed or hire with caution. 4 out of 5, you want to hire them. 5 out of 5, Deb, you don't even
They're
let
gonna
them
be
leave.
they're
Yeah,
gonna be an
yeah,
agent.
yeah, yeah. I got
Yeah,
to
just
get
give
you
them one of
right
your
now.
offices. Give them one of your
Yeah,
offices, man.
yeah. So that's just a screening process
Yeah.
out of a recruiting process.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's layered, but when you get the right person in the right seat with the right systems and processes and the right accountability, you grow exponentially and
Yeah.
life starts changing for
Wow.
them, which means life starts changing for the agent.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so awesome that you're willing to share that, because obviously your numbers and your record back that up. I do have a question about that though. Is of those steps, how much are you personally involved in them? And before you say all of them, that it's got to be impossible because you've got three offices.
Well, let's talk about that. I don't customer interface as I used to, meaning I'm not the top salesperson anymore, and nor do I want to be. My three primary roles: agency oversight, that my assistant and our onboarding specialist helps with, and my operations director. So that's one. Two is coaching, not training. It's a big difference. My sales leadership team in my agencies, they do all the training, the role plan, the product knowledge. I do the coaching, meaning once they've trained, they come in front of me and I hear what they've trained on and I coach it to be better. I coach it to be more efficient.
Wow.
And I coach the person that did the training and I coach the person that I coach the person that conducted the training
And the person that received,
and the
right?
person that received the training. I'm coaching them both at the same time.
Standing.
Hey, Chris, you should have said XYZ so that Peter over here would have understood ABC, right? And we do that. And so they're all learning at the same time. So coaching is my next priority. And then the last one is recruiting. So that's my 5 step process. And my team's involved on step five. I'm doing step one, the screening of the transferable skills on the resume. I'm doing the phone screen, right? And the Wonderlic, those are just sending emails.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
checking
that
boxes and
right.
doing it. Yeah.
But those are my three priorities.
Yeah. Well.
Some people like, hey, I don't even want to do the recruiting thing. That's a skill set of mine that I'm really strong at. And for me, having the most talented team, I want to have the most talented team in the country. So I don't outsource none of my recruiting. Some agents that make sense to outsource your recruiting if that's not your skill set or you're not
Mm.
passionate about doing it. I focus on doing things that I love to do. Coach, recruit, and office the oversight. I don't love to do it, but I'm going to do it with a whole lot of support
Yeah.
because obviously I like the income that I make, and I want to make sure I
Yeah. You want
keep
to make
it.
sure it keeps coming in like
Yeah,
an annuity, right?
absolutely. Yeah, period. And
Yeah.
I'm not letting anybody or anyone mess that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said a lot today, mate, but just to give people a little peek sneak into the future, as one may say, of this great event that we're at. That's a great guy right there, too.
Yep.
This great event that we're at, okay, with
Chairman
many
Circle.
agents here, Chairman Circle. I think there's, over
Six,
three,
no, I think it's 600 this year. It's a pretty big group this year.
600 or 6,000?
No, oh no, not 6,000.
Not 6,000, but it's
No,
more than
600.
600 though, right?
Maybe about
Okay, so they
650.
say they said because
Out of
first
20,
first
almost
it was
20.
3%, then 5%, now it's like 8% agents. Well, there's 22,000 agents, right? So
Whatever.
that puts it around 3,000 agents here,
No,
correct?
no, 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 no. I think it's about 680 something agents
Okay, so
here.
there's so there's somewhere between
680.
600 and 1,000 agents here, okay? Let's say that
Yeah.
right here. But the point I'm trying to make, Al, is out of all these agents and the great agents, past, present, and future, they've asked you to be on stage tomorrow, mate.
It did.
So you're going to be getting up there. We're not going to ask what you're doing because obviously we want to keep that confidential for obvious reasons there. But congratulations to you, my
I
friend.
appreciate that, man. It's extremely humbling.
Yeah,
for sure.
congratulations to you. So appreciate you coming on, appreciate you sharing. We are going to shoot some more content before we leave and hit some different segments. But until we break off right now, Al, I just want to take this opportunity just to thank you, more
Yeah.
importantly. But personally, thank you also. You've been there for me. I've reached out to you. There's been some great things you've helped me with. You've helped me plan towards my additional
Yeah.
State Farm office. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you guys right now, there is a lot of genuine people out there, but Al's one of the most genuine, as one may say. And he comes through. He's a busy man, got a lot of stuff going on. But if you reach out to him, he does come through in good fashion. So Al, appreciate you, mate. Is there anything you wanna add to tip off this good
I
conclusion?
would just say cheers to you.
Cheers, my
Cheers to
friend.
your preparation on getting your second location.
Cheers, my friend. Cheers,
You
my friend.
absolutely deserve it, and I couldn't think
Yeah.
of anybody better, man.
Yeah. Speaking of
Happy to
someone,
help.
speaking of someone with multiple opportunities right there, is my man Coach P in the house right here. Coach P right there. I already spoke to Coach P. We're talking about collaboration. It's recorded. We're gonna make it happen, my friend.
Look at
We
that.
appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Speak to you soon, Governor. It's a good go right there.
It is.
You're already getting me people to come on the show. You see this, guys? I bring it out when he magnetizes people here, and they're taking pictures of us, man. What a blessing! What a blessing!
It is, man. It's a cool thing to just kind of take in.
100%, man. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Al Johnson. Don't worry. To be continued. This is not the end, as one may say. Al, appreciate you reaching out. Appreciate your friendship. And more importantly, appreciate the knowledge, wisdom, and just overall business acumen you dropped today, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Obscurity to Opportunity. I'm joined with my man, Al Johnson. I'm Chris Mathurin. If you want to come on the show, shoot us a DM. Slide up in the DMs. Let us know. We'll put you on the waiting list, as one may say. And who knows, you may be next on Opportunity from Obscurity. Peace.